Hey, this is Max. Welcome back to another CSR2 video. I'm here with From Europe with Love. And I'm starting off here at about race 60, and we're going to run all the way to the end here and show you basically how difficult the event gets near the end. Obviously, if you don't have the cars locked in up to this point, then you'll be stuck anyway. So race 60 usually is when things start to get a little more interesting with these events. The first 30-40 races are pretty much gimmies unless you have cars that are basically unbuilt. Now I am using the Apollo in this one because it did help me get a stage 6 ultimately, basically maxing out the car minus some epic fusions. So that's not a bad thing with the Apollo. I'm also moving forward initially using the Aston Martin Vanquish, the Vantage Tier 4, because I wanted to use up that car for this event and save my stronger cars for the later American Series events. Again, that first car, whatever you lock in, should be close to maxed, if not maxed, because you will need some maxed cars in order to make the relays easier. So in my case, I'm doing pretty good here with the Apollo because it's running 7. So anything that runs 8.2s or better as a Tier 5 should be good. 286 speed trap here. This again can be difficult depending on the car you have. The Apollo fortunately does pretty well with speed traps, so a 293 there. However, this is a basically fully maxed Apollo, so I did not retune it for speed traps. I don't know how good this car really is at speed traps. It's probably not that great, to be honest, but at least for the purpose of this race, it's good enough. Now, 279 speed trap with the TS1 GT is going to be a problem because the TS1 GT I haven't put all the stage 6s in, and it doesn't look like I'm going to have enough oomph here to get through that speed trap. Let me see what I come out at. 269, little short, but for the most part I can just add one stage 6 and that should bump it right on through. But again, this car is already running 2 strong stage 6s, so maybe a retune would do it rather than having to put the whole new stage 6 part in. Let's try retuning first before we start to give up and put parts in. Right now I'm tuned for max evo. What you can do is always retune for that mile per hour. It looks like just tweaking nitrous is already enough. I mean, I don't even need to play with the other stuff. So yeah, so again, nitrous and body stage 6 is already being in there. The speed trap really is very doable. I just must have shifted wrong. I probably would just need to stick to more normal shifting because the dyno's already saying if you shift normally you should be able to make it. So let's do that. So got a second, little early there, but third nitrous, fourth, and what do we get? Oh, there we go. Easy win, coming right on through at 282 miles per hour with nitrous and body. Now, both nitrous and body are pretty strong stage 6s, so nitrous generally being pretty useful for speed traps, so that's no issue. All right, the Bach mono here is basically maxed as well, so I'm not too worried about anything, whether it be speed trap or the sprints. Now, speaking of which, if you can get your hands on a Bach mono, you can actually get it to max level. While it's not a super fast car fully maxed, being only 8 seconds something, it is one of those cars that's very easy to both do a high mile per hour as well as a incredibly fast sprint, making it very simple to use in Tempest 3 Tier 5. Not to say Tempest 3 Tier 5, we don't have a lot of other choices you can get fusions more easily for, but hey, that's something. Now, locking in the LMS, I can tell you up front, I had the LMS built ahead of time, knowing full well I intend to finish this event. So I bought the engine stage 6 with tickets. I bought crates and got body and turbo stage 6s as well. So I have 3 stage 6s on this car. The reason I did that is because I knew coming into this event from other people's feedback that race 79 I'm going to be stuck unless I have enough stage 6s to make it through a 313 mile per hour speed trap in the quarter mile. That's tough. Oh, incidentally, here's my little Vantage. It's been holding its own throughout the event so far, but then again, it is basically maxed. Well, I think it is fully maxed. Never mind, it is maxed. Same goes with the Bach mono, being what it is, and being as upgraded as it is, it should have no issue getting through these sprints. So we're moving right along here. Now, these sprints add, not sprints, but these relays or a quarter mile, but they add quite a bit of time to your overall event time, because each time you're talking at least 2 to 5 races for each of the relays. If you add that to the 80 races you're already doing, and then you count all the relays, which are quite a few, you're probably doing closer total races closer to something like 120 to 30. So keep that in mind, that while the event is only 80, it is actually longer. Here we go again with the Apollo, which actually is a very quick quarter mile car for what it is. So it actually helps me quite a bit when it comes to doing these relays. And finally, the Audi. Now the Audi is quite nice looking. Okay, it's a good looking car. Unfortunately, it is not a low PP high evo car, which means it's not super viable in lower bracket live racing at say 11s and slower. It does seem to have a nice lobby advantage built into the car, so even at full stage 5, which is actually pretty quick, it's like a 9-second something car, it's pretty much viable in live. It'll lobby against cars like the NSXR when it can fully beat 9.5 times. But that being said, it is not, in my opinion, super viable long term as a live racer, because that's really all it can do. I mean, it doesn't have any better tunes, no tricks, no ability to beat dyno beyond what it does naturally. So it's kind of a sit and use car. Now it's good for people who don't want to tune, but it's not so good if you like to tweak cars to be more dominating in live lobbies. So yeah, so stage 5, even a partial stage 6 tune on this car, again, pretty viable. But long term speaking, it'll probably not be as good as a car that can both beat dyno and have low performance point high evo and has some kind of lobby advantage. So it's okay, but it's not great. But we're moving right along here. Race 68, putting in a few races with this Audi. Not a hard car to drive, really. I've been using nitrous in third, you know, short shifting a little bit out of first, and that should give you some of the times that you need. 8.269 should be good enough to get the job done all the way through here. Race 69, don't forget your opponent's still running 14s, but I suspect that's going to get escalated really fast when we hit race 70s and up. Let's see what this opponent runs. As far back as they are, probably also in the 14s, 13-second range. So these are super easy so far, but we all know Natural Motion isn't going to let me through this event that easily. Okay, in fact, this event has a severe paywall put in based on that race 79, because if you don't have stage 6s, you cannot get to that or get through that particular race and get to the prize car. But the crates are only paid, or you gotta buy tickets. There's no free way to upgrade this car enough to beat that 313, unfortunately. So that is the biggest catch here, that you will need to get really, really lucky with the free crates in order to make it through without paying something, okay, for crates. Because assuming that you get a free crate in the beginning, assuming you get lucky and get a nitrous stage 6 somewhere during one of the free crates, and you get to loyalty before the event ends, and then you get anything other than transmission, you will then be set for the purpose of beating the speed trap with that Audi. But otherwise, you'll be stuck. And if you're stuck, the only way to get through those speed traps with the cars to get stage 6s, and the only way to get that would be to pay for crates. So if this is how it's going to work for the remainder of the American series, then this is a huge expense for a series to get through. Okay, sure, it's quite a few events, so each event expenditure standpoint is not that bad, but it gets pretty bad if you really try to buy your way through the entire event. Okay, so this one, I'm resetting the car to a certain setup, which is basically my default attempts at getting speed traps done, which almost always involve lower grip, adjusted final drive so the car tops out near where it needs to be, and basically shortest duration, most powerful nitrous tend to generate a lot better results. And I'm looking at different gears here for the end result. So it looks like I just put it to about 306. 317, still a little more. 309. 306 800. Okay, so that'll work. Let's test run it once. No launch button and quarter mile. If I can run it here, I can then take it right back to the event and finish without a problem. Let's see how this plays out. Here we go. Okay, right, so I'm not really trying to do a whole lot other than get the car to the final gear and hope that it runs through on the final gear, which it does. So this car beats dyno by quite a few miles per hour, allowing it to hit 306, even though from a dyno standpoint it was saying it can only hit about 280. So you got about 26 mile per hour margin there that you're gonna be able to outrun. Okay, so back to the event and back to business. Let's get this little thing here done. Speed trap, here we go. Same strategy, 5, 6, 7, and nitrous is running to the end, and that usually allows you to get right on through. You want nitrous to always end right around the end with most cars. Now there are always some exceptions to this, but generally speaking, when you're pushing for speed trap, you want to use nitrous later in the gears, and you want nitrous to end before you trap through the final speed trap. Okay, another quick relay. So we were only talking about finishing 20 races to the end here, but with all these relays, the reality is I just probably will have to do more, way more than 20, probably closer to 40 races to actually get through the last 20 races. So here we go. Now, TS1 GT, again, not a bad car, not the quickest in a quarter mile. It's more of a top end car when you get to half mile, but didn't do too bad there overall. The other cars are all good at sprinting, especially this one, which does like a 4 point something quarter mile, which will make it pretty simplistic to beat the car next to it, given the handicap that's already in existence and given the type of cars that you're racing. But again, for this particular race, it's a no-brainer. You can easily get through it. And finally, back to the Audi. Got to put it through its paces. Okay, so we're trying to run the best time possible. Let's take a look. 5.6. There's quite a bit of margin between what is required and what I ran, but then again, we're still at race 74. Okay, this one's the Audi race. Race 75. Let's see how it goes. Here we go. All right. Again, pretty good times because obviously the car is pretty well upgraded. Okay, so we're coming up towards the end here, last 5 races, and I fully expect some kind of escalation during these races as far as how fast the opponents can go. I mean, obviously this one's not doing too hot here, but that doesn't mean you're not going to face a faster opponent. If it's not the opponent, then ultimately the other hurdle would be the speed trap. I mean, one of these is basically the hurdle that you have to get through to get to the end. They give you the little carrot stick for the first 20, 30 races. Easy to get through, get your confidence up, make you invested into trying to beat this thing. And then right near the end, when the prize car is within grasp, it's so close you could taste it, that's when the paywall comes, because that's the best place to put it. If they put it too early, people give up, right? By putting it here where you're almost there, it makes it very easy for us to just say, oh man, I'm so close, I'll just reach in my pocket and I'll take care of it. That's intentionally done. If they do this for every major event within the American Series, this is a huge money-making event then for Natural Motion, which is great for them. And I don't begrudge them making some money, but it will suck for most of the players who are hoping to get through this somewhat on the free side. So far, what we know is that challenges, especially at least on this event, quite difficult for what it is. A car that doesn't come with free crates or bronze key crates that you have to use will always put you at a disadvantage when it comes to not spending. So this is a spender's event, one way or the other. Okay, so you have to know what you're getting into, and then you have to decide how far you want to push it. Alright, once again, my poor little Vantage is getting trashed outright. But generally the computer switches back to much slower cars for the next part of the relay. That is also a tier 5, so it doesn't look like the computer's made it easier, but I can assure you that second car, this tier 5, is going to be running really slow compared to my Audi. Here we go. Let's see how fast we pass them. And off I go. So, yep. No brainer. And we're one step closer to the prize car. So close. So close. Race 79 out of 80. And this relay wasn't bad at all. So far, so good, right? Alright, so put a turbo in, and then I am going to go and tackle the speed trap, which I know is 313 miles per hour. So we're at 295 already. I'm on my 317. I could obviously increase the final drive a little bit, drop it to 313.6 like that. Tweak the tire a little bit. Make sure that I have 313, and basically I shouldn't have a problem beating it. Okay, and this is with 3 stage 6s, body, engine, and turbo. Okay, let's go back and let's go ahead and run this thing. Okay, here we go. All right. Looking pretty good. And there, oh, did it go back down? Oh no, it didn't. It looked like it went back down to 312 at the end there, but whew, that was after we passed through the finish line, so it didn't count against me, and 313 is reached. So I'm gonna have a separate video on the whole trap speed thing. In fact, I'll put a card at the end of this video that you can click on to go to that video to show you how this Audi is going to be set up for the purpose of hitting that speed trap, and what kind of stage 6s you'll need, because you cannot do it without it. I can guarantee you that. Okay, so again, now I'm going to retune a little bit for max performance, so I can have the car ready for the final sprint. Let's take a look. 5.722. You'll probably get a little bit under that too, so that should be more than fine for the purpose of this final relay race. Alright, so having had everything basically reset to good spots for performance, let's go ahead and try to finish this. Ooh, look, extreme. Now, this extreme may not be full extreme, and again, don't forget, we're running 3 cars that are almost fully maxed, and it's still extreme. That's how tough they're making this. Kind of ridiculous, but hey, it's not full extreme. It's only 3/4, almost, I would say 80% extreme. It's not totally impossible. So let's see how it plays out. I should be able to get this done. Let's go ahead and see. Here we go. Final relay. Okay, obviously the Vantage is going to get trashed. As good as it is, as maxed out as it is, that Tier 5 Nissan is going to totally trash it. Boom. So I have a huge negative margin going into race number 2. But difficulty didn't change. It's still at that not quite extreme. Okay, it's not super extreme. It's just mostly extreme, which is really not that extreme. It's more like hard. Okay, so again, running a pretty tough opponent, the Tier 5 Nissan. And that Nissan almost always runs fast when it's used in a relay for any event. The Ben Sapra Fast and Furious Nissan, which I don't have. I haven't found a good Nissan GTR, and that one was no good for me either, so I just left it alone. But the Elite Tuner GTRs are pretty good. Okay, now TS1 GT against the Absolute and excellent car all around. Jesco Absolute. Only downside is that it's kind of a gray color, which I don't prefer, but as far as that car's performance and everything in the game, excellent. Very good car. Okay, now I may be able to make it back my margin, because this car does a really ridiculous quarter mile in the fourth, which should be much faster than that opponent's car. Even if that opponent car is fully maxed according to the game, I should be much quicker coming down this quarter mile than that car. And there it is. This basically ends the challenge, because it's highly unlikely the next car is going to be making back that margin from my Audi, which has 3 stage 6s, right? So the extreme is still extreme, but I'm not too worried at this point. With the amount of margin I just put on that opponent, which will apply to the next opponent's holding pattern, I am basically 100% as far as this is. So this final relay, again, isn't that easy, right? You have 3 almost fully maxed cars. 2 of them I think are fully maxed, and 1 that's missing just a few epics, and yet it was an extreme race. So once again, not the easiest. So the computer does 5 opponents at 31 seconds, and then I did it in 29.181. If you look at their times, 5, 6, 5, well, 5, 6, 6, mostly 6-second range, 1.7. So you know that ultimately your cars all have to run enough of a fast speed in the quarter mile to beat all 5 of those guys, put the margin on them, and still get through. So it's not going to be easy, that final sprint. I'm sorry, the final relay. I keep calling it sprint, but it's a relay. Congratulations. Remember, you can use the McLaren in the finale. Okay, that's wonderful. Just another car now I have to build just so I can actually have a chance at the finale. By the time I get to the finale, I don't even know how much I'll be sinking into this. So looking at this part here, given the amount of cost involved, which is about 60 bucks, you know, if you do this for every single one going forward, that's like another 4, 5, 6 events plus the final. Wow, I don't want to think about it too much. Okay, so if it's not going to be free and you got to pay, and you only, even if you're only paying a little, the sheer number of events still left that you have to get prize cars from basically makes this a hugely expensive event in the grand scheme of things. All right, I'm going to start building this car. The Senna GTR is actually pretty good. You'll see a live racing video from me in the near future. I hope you enjoyed my runs for this From Europe with Love event. I'm glad I was able to acquire the Senna GTR. Now, somebody's going to complain about the way I'm pronouncing the name. So, Senna, right? Senna GTR, I believe it's how it's pronounced. I have not gotten that right, whether it was live stream or videos. So, I'm sorry. I apologize. I know that he is a very famous F1 driver. He was involved in all kinds of tuning for cars that we all love, and he is very well liked within the F1 community. So I apologize up front that I'm butchering his name, but I hope you'll forgive me. Ultimately, the GTR here that I've acquired, I'm very happy about. Once again, I hope you enjoyed the video. Leave a like if you liked the video. Subscribe to the channel and hit the bell if you want to get notifications when I put up videos like this. And as always, thank you for watching my videos. I'll catch you next time.